seemingly very much 50-50 anyway, so you can't really judge that. But anyway, to come to your question, it's a good question there. If there had been something on it, I think it would depend just what was on it. If it was one of the last couple of games in the qualifying matches and we needed desperately to get 4 points out of two games, and then you were denied a goal like that, then yeah, I think that's where unconscious bias could certainly creep in, and you say, of
Right.
course it
Okay.
was a goal and all the rest of it, because we're
Right.
all human, and perhaps we don't always realise we have this unconscious bias. But that said, I do say that I try to be fair, and the other thing, when you get other teams coming to Selhurst Park, obviously, and I always really appreciate seeing the great players when they come. And I can remember seeing Beckham when he came. I won't say not sure he was a great player. He was a very good footballer. Let's face it, a very solid international captain as well. And Wayne Rooney was always excellent. I remember Michael Owen, and it always saddens me a bit in football that the really top players almost from the off get booed by the home fans, or even the away fans, depending on the situation. And I always think, for goodness sake, don't do that. Just watch and see how great players play. I mean, Harry Kane's a good example. Not that I don't remember him getting booed much, but he was. I always felt he's a top world-class footballer, which I believe he is. He's superb. But if these top players, whenever Rooney came, people always used to sing horrible things to him. You great fat what's it and all the rest of it, which he wasn't. And he's a brilliant footballer. And of course, when you're then cheering England, you cheer all these people, but it's a bit of an irony when they're coming with their clubs. I mean, they can handle it. That's part of the deal, isn't it? They know they're going to be treated a bit roughly. But I always like to watch the great footballers if some of them come to us, and we can watch them. And I think sometimes football fans can miss out on seeing great footballers because they just don't. They won't see something and think, "Wow, that was good! What a brilliant pass that was!" That no, it's the opposition; they're terrible, and you only see half a game. I think so. Yeah, I go back to your question. I really, even if we were desperate for something, I still think I would. You know in yourself if it was or wasn't a penalty, or if it was or wasn't a goal. Many of these things are borderline. You can't really judge it. So somebody's got to make a decision, in usually the ref or the VAR people. But I think it's important to be as unbiased as possible, because you end up enjoying much more of the game.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm gonna call you up on that someday. Someday.
I bet you will as well. What do you think about going back to the women's game, which we talked about last week? And
Right.
Mary Earps, of course, declined to continue as England goalkeeper, which is a shame because she was very good.
She was.
And now Millie Bright has pulled out of the Euros, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah. I
see
heard
that
that
a
as
few
well.
days
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah. I saw
And she
that as
said
well.
that she feels she can't give 100% of herself. And I think since last week, it's come out that she split up from a partner and is now with a new guy. I think I saw something this morning, which she's with a guy who's like a martial arts champion or something like that. Not the sort of bloke you'd argue with, obviously. But yeah, so I imagine the relationship change and all that, which can have a hell of an effect on anybody, let alone a footballer, probably
Yeah.
meant she felt she couldn't give everything. But I wonder if she might live to regret that, because if you've got issues at home, which let's face it, most of us do at different times. Give everything. But I wonder if she might live to regret that, because if you've got issues at home, which let's face it, most of us do at different times,
Yeah.
sometimes the distraction of something else is a good therapy. So
Yeah.
she may regret, especially if England do well, I hope we do. And she might regret not being part of that. Because
Mm,
let's face it, she's a very good central defender. She's authoritative,
she
she
is.
knows how to tackle and look after herself, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think she'll be missing in the back line for England. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a shame to, and of course, I think Kirby, I can't think of her first name, but she's retired, I think now, hasn't she?
Shit.
She
All
was
right.
very good in the team that won the Euros last time. She played for Chelsea at one stage, didn't she?
Right.
But so she's gone as well. So yeah, it's like anything. You're going to get changes, hopefully for the better, ultimately.
Yeah.
And I hope we do well. I would still like to see Serena Wiegman carrying on because I think she injects a great spirit into the team. But it may be after this tournament, maybe she'll feel she's had enough, especially if she wins it. If she wins
Yeah.
2 Euros, you can't do much more than that, really, can you?
Yeah. Absolutely. She might want to live on a high. Yeah. So we can't seem to get enough about England. Talking about England players. But let's just quickly talk about the winners of the Nations Cup, the Men's Nations Cup, and then if we still have time, we could still touch on the England men's for a while. But what do you make of the game? Spain, Portugal, finals.
Yeah, sorry, just to enlighten me.
Yes.
Um,
So Spain played
yeah,
Portugal
Portugal in the final.
in the Nations Cup
I didn't,
final.
I didn't, didn't watch it. I have to say.
Oh, did
So
you
I'm a
know?
bit.
All right, yeah.
You've got me on that one. So you'll have to tell
No,
me what you thought of it and what the
yeah.
result
So
was, even.
yeah, so I think uh, Portugal came from behind twice to equalize 2-2, and then it went into extra time. So there was an extra time that was played between both teams, and there was no goals. So it then went to penalties, which Portugal won. So Portugal won the won by penalties. I think it was
Right,
four.
right.
I think it was 4-3. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they scored. Yeah. So yeah, 4-3 ended. Because the Portuguese keeper kept one of the penalties out, and that's how they won. So anyway, but what I was gonna talk about was Ronaldo. He
right.
scored. He actually scored one of the goals. I think he scored the first equalizer. He scored. So when Portugal was 1-0 down, he scored the equalizing goal to bring it up level. So what do we make of Ronaldo? Because he's still going strong, isn't he?
He's
At
going on and on, isn't he?
yeah,
Do you know
at 40.
how old is he? Is he about 38, something like that, or is he not as
No,
old as that?
no, 41.
Is he 41?
It's
Which is
41.
a bit phenomenal, then, isn't it?
I
Not
know.
too many players, and I think we've said before about him that. I mean, when I felt in the last Euros
Yeah,
with the men's Euros, I thought he was disappointing. He seemed to be sort of either shoved into the middle. He certainly wasn't on the wing, and I guess you need a bit of youth and speed to be on the wing as he used to be.
yeah,
But he didn't seem to. I sometimes used to feel the other players weren't always passing to him, but perhaps that was not the case. I think we said a few months ago that, or I said, I think maybe he should hang up his boots because it's sad when someone great, you see them slowly sliding down the quality and the victories. But then, as you say, he carries on and he scores a winning goal. Did he take a
yeah.
penalty as well?
No, he didn't take a penalty. I
No.
think it was subbed before going into
Right. Yeah.
the other half. It was subbed then, so he wouldn't have been able to take the penalty anyway because he was out. But there was something that I read in the news, and we've only got a minute to go, so I'll just be really quick about this. There was something I read in the news. The former Everton manager, what's he called? Is now the He's now the manager
Ancel-
for
Ancelotti? No.
no.
Oh, what? No, he's now the manager of what? Who is
He's
he
now
the
the
manager
manager
of?
of Portugal. It's a very
Um,
famous one. But anyway, so he sort of suggested to Ronaldo. He sort of suggested to the
yeah,
younger players. He said, "Well, just feed him the ball. You know, don't don't let him run too
yeah.
much. Just feed him the
He's
ball."
that
Which
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is very good because they'll
yeah.
benefit
Of
from his experience, and
course they will.
he'll yeah, and he'll benefit from the youthful vigor, I think they call it. Um, anyway, so this is all that we have. This is all that we have time for. Do you want to do the conclusion this time, bro?
Yes, well, we discussed a few things there. One or two things I had no idea about. For example, the last Nations Cup game, but that clearly passed me by for various reasons. But anyway, we touched on a few points which hopefully may have triggered some interesting debates with yourselves. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And I'm Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cuz. So it's a goodbye from me, and join us the same time next week for another interesting episodes and another interesting season. So it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me too.